Hi, in this video I'm going to go over how to customize your WordPress site in its appearance and layout beyond what we covered in the introductory video. So as you can see here, I have my site set up as I set it up when I was just getting started with WordPress, putting in some basic content and playing around with the different customization options available with the default 2015 theme. And I'm liking how this looks right now. As you can see, I've got lots of images in here, some video. Over here I've got the links to my different pages, so I have an about page and some different things on that. I've got my social links in here, but I'm not really a huge fan of this layout. If I go back to my main blog page, I do have a lot of images, and most of my posts do have an image, and with that I'm kind of looking for a different layout than just sort of the standard post sequence here, maybe like a grid or something. And I'm also not sure about this sidebar on the left hand side that has my name and my different links and stuff. I'm wondering if maybe it makes more sense for that to be up in the header or something else like that. So we're going to go into the customizer by going to customize under this menu here when you hover over your site title in what's called the WordPress toolbar, which is up at the top of your screen. And when we go to customize, of course, as I covered in the first video, this is where we can edit the different appearance settings for our site. And so I went through and I tried some different colors. You can play around with them. I'm really not actually in love with this particular one. That background color wasn't quite working. I don't know, but as I edit some of these basic options, it does sort of become clear to me that just changing and sort of tweaking it isn't enough. I want to go with a completely different layout. Not just changing this image that's in the background here or changing the different colors. I really need something that's fundamentally different. And once you reach that point, rather than just using the customizer to customize your site, you want to actually look at changing what's called the theme. The theme is the overall layout of your site, and it basically controls how everything is displayed. And so we're going to go ahead and leave this. And now that we're back on the front end, if you go the same place that you go when you're looking for the customizer and go to themes, you can see that WordPress comes with several different themes pre-installed. Now you probably won't see all of these on your install. You'll probably only see sort of the most recent ones. But as you can see, these are all 20 themes, so each one is named after the year, and WordPress comes out with a new theme every year. And so I think just sort of looking at these pictures of the different themes, of the built-in themes, I'm kind of liking 2013 in terms of the layout, so I'm going to look at that. Okay, and as you can see, this is a much different layout, obviously. Now note that when you're live previewing, it won't actually show up on your website for your visitors. So you don't have to worry about anyone else seeing this. It's all just private until you actually hit this save and activate button. So I still have all my images in here and stuff. Well, most of them. Actually, you know what? I'm noticing that some of my featured images on my different posts aren't showing up here, and that's probably just one of the design decisions that the theme has made. But I do kind of like how it has all the different colors. So let's see what options we have to change it. My first thought, of course, for me, I'm not a big fan of this particular color combination, so I might look and see if I can change that. Let's start by getting this menu changed out. So just like with 2015, we're just going to select the main menu in the navigation menu here, and you can see that that will go ahead and update it. Now different themes are going to have different menu locations. So before we also had a social menu. In 2013, we don't have any other menus that we could put that in. So we can't really make that show up here. We just have sort of the search bar and the menu bar up here at the top. In the header image, I guess we do have a couple options for that, so we can see what these look like. I kind of like that one, actually. So I'd probably go with this one, but I'm still not totally feeling this colors. Yeah, and it looks like in this case we can't really customize any of the actual colors. We can change the color of that header text, but I think the default one was okay there. This brown, orange, sort of yellow color palette isn't totally working for me. And so I think the next thing I want to do, since we can't change that here, is look and see if there's a theme that's like 2013 but that actually has a different color palette. And so we're going to go ahead and close out of the customizer. I don't really want to save those changes. And now we're going to go to add a new theme. Now, one of the things that WordPress supports is something called child themes. And basically what that is it takes an existing theme like 2013 and it makes some changes to fit it to a more particular purpose. So if we search for 2013, let's see. So these don't really look, there we go. So there are a couple that look the same. A couple of them aren't actually related to 2013. Obviously these other ones in 2013 itself comes up, but if we look down lower, I see a few that look like sort of the 2013 layout, but with some different color palettes. And that's exactly what I was looking for. Now I kind of like the blue look, so maybe this one. You can notice, in addition to having sort of different colors, some of them have what look like different sort of different layouts or different fonts. When you click on one of the themes there, you will see a preview of it. This isn't actually going to show you the content that's on your site. It's just sort of some dummy test data. But it'll give you a general idea of what it'll look like when you install it. So I do kind of like this one, but it's not really my personality. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to go with the 2013 blue version. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and install it. And then from here we can go right to live preview. Interesting. So it has some red accents in there, I see. And then different shades of blue. Some of the YouTube video there is still loading. One of the things I really like with 2013 compared to the other theme is how my gallery is showing up. Now I would want it to show in multiple columns, which is something I could go back and change, but I like how the captions only show up when I hover over the images. It makes it a little bit nicer of a layout, just sort of with the grid. And I like these colors, but I don't know, I think one of the issues I'm seeing is that my featured images aren't showing up here. And of course these different colors look like they're keyed to the post format, so the status post has a red background, I guess. This shade of blue is for audio, this one's for gallery. If we go in and look at this particular one, you know what, it still doesn't show the featured image. So because I really wanted to emphasize images with my site, I think I'm going to try an entirely different theme. 2013 isn't quite the look for me, even though it does have a couple of different options and I can use a child theme to find sort of a different look and feel for that. So we'll return to the theme installer now. Now, because I don't want just a child theme of 2013, I want a completely different theme again. Now I'm just going to start browsing through the theme installer here. So you can see we first have a bunch of featured themes. Now, the design quality of these can vary a lot. So a couple of these do look good, a couple of them are not so good. But I was kind of thinking more of a grid layout, and I can see from this screenshot that this one might offer that, so I'm going to look at the preview of it. Looks pretty basic. I would definitely want to change this orange color, but let's give it a try. So we'll go ahead and install that, and then live preview it. This is not great. Let's see if we can change that color. I guess we can change the text color of it, but not the... Okay, so maybe I do kind of like it darker there, maybe, or maybe add a little bit more color. I don't know, that's too much color, maybe. I don't know, I mean, I could get behind something like that, but that orange is kind of weird. I bet if I put a header image in, it might cover it up. So maybe that one might be nice. Let's see. Now, when you do a header image, sometimes it will enforce how you crop it, other times you can change it. So for this one, I might just sort of try to do mostly just the sky part of this image and crop out the building. Let's see how that looks. that ends up looking very pink, but for the sake of demonstration, we'll go ahead and go with that. And it looks like, okay, and if we change the header text color to black, this layout could work. Let's look at the menus. So again, this only has the one menu. If we put our primary menu in, then we get that blog link that we had added before. I'm guessing that's a link to our feed. That's not something that anyone really uses anymore, so I don't think I would necessarily want that. There is a nice sort of creative approach to the search bar there. And I do see now, it took a while for this to load, but now that this is loaded, this grid layout does look better. I can see some of my featured images. Ooh, in my gallery, in fact, I can even, it looks like, browse through the different images in the gallery right from this front page. So that's kind of a nice feature. Features like this are oftentimes going to be unexpected things that you might find in your theme. You can notice, in addition to being sort of in this grid layout rather than just the sequential posts, the way it's displaying the date, for example, is different. The other theme didn't actually show my name on the post, whereas this one does. And then you can see it also has the titles, and it even embeds the YouTube video right here. But it looks like really the emphasis on this design is to actually click through and go to this single view page, which I guess looks like this. And then let's see, again, we have sort of the arrows to go to the different posts that we have, I guess. Let's see if that may or may not work. Sometimes it can also take a little while for things like that to load, especially when you're in the customizer. There we go. So you can see that's there. We have our different categories up here. So if you click on the category, you'll see what a category view looks like. In this case, it looks like it's just the same as the main index view. So this is actually kind of a neat theme. It has a couple cool features. And obviously I can change that image to anything else, seeing as it doesn't quite fit what I'm looking for. But the one thing that I really am not a fan of in this theme is that the text size is kind of small. And while I do like the idea of the grid layout, it's not quite what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and look for a different theme. Now, it's really important when you're picking a theme to make sure that you pick one that you really like, because while you can make little adjustments to it, it is hard to take it and make big changes. So you can change like one or two font sizes, or you can change colors around even if you don't have those options within the customizer. But what you can't do as easily is to completely change the layout so that it looks like a completely different thing. It can be done, but usually it's better to just go with a different theme. And the same thing goes for functionality. If it has a feature like that with, gallery previews that you really like, then, maybe go with that theme and then make some more customizations beyond the options. But it also might just make sense to try a completely different theme because it might fit what you're looking for better. You really want to make sure that you like the theme as it is, and then any adjustments that you make are sort of nice to haves but not must have features. So I'm just sort of browsing through some of the different options here for how you can browse themes. You can look at the featured ones or popular ones. Right now I'm on latest. I kind of am attracted to this one. I like the idea of the dark layout, and I can see again it has sort of a grid view. So let's preview it. Now again, you have to note with the preview that it isn't always going to look exactly like it'll look with your content, but it can give you kind of a rough idea. Okay, so this looks interesting. It's very purple, but I can see over here that it has a couple different colors, so there might be an option for that, or maybe those are actually keyed to post formats. And it looks like pictures will also show up if they're in there. I do know that this preview data, which is what you see whenever you're previewing any of the themes, is always going to have the same content, and it doesn't have a lot of images in it. So a theme that I'm looking for that might have a lot of images or places for images won't necessarily show up with images in here. And this has some interesting features. It looks like these categories here show up with that sort of pop out. Again, I would want to change the color, but that's something that could potentially be done. So let's go ahead and install this. And we'll go ahead and live preview it. Okay, so yeah, it does look like I got different colors, but this is not quite showing up how I would expect it to. I'm not sure. I think it's still loading, so I'm going to give it a minute. It looks like this definitely, obviously this is my gallery post, and it has pulled in an image here, and then it just links in just like the other one, where really the emphasis is on what you see when you actually go to this link. Whoa, but that's not quite what I'm looking for. So of course, since this looks like it shows images much smaller, I would want to change this gallery to be displayed in more columns. But I'm not a big fan of the way it's handling the captions here. Let's see what the options are. So let's see, that's kind of useless. Those are just some notes. I guess we could maybe put in a logo. Couple social links, but it doesn't support the social menu that we made. Yeah, it just has this one menu again, so we can put the main menu in there, but rather than having a social menu, it looks like we have to manually enter each link. Let's see about the background color. Interesting. So you can change like the background color behind everything, but it doesn't look like you can change any of the other colors with this. Now that doesn't mean it can't be changed. You can change anything with CSS, but for the quick fixes and the quick customization, if it doesn't have an option here, it's going to take a little bit more time and effort to get it to look like you want. And there's enough with this theme, I think, that it's not quite the right one for me, so I'm going to go ahead and try a different one. Okay, now I do know that I'm using my site kind of as a portfolio, and so I'm going to try just searching for portfolio, and let's see what that comes up with. Okay, so a lot of these have more of a grid layout, and these, of course, almost every theme here uses a lot of images, which is good because I'm going to have a lot of images. Of these, I'm very intrigued by this one, just because it has that grid layout where all you see is the images. But here it looks like it doesn't do that layout by default, so we might have to explore some of the additional options in the theme. And when you read the description here, you can see sometimes they'll have links or a demo site where there are more instructions for how to set it up to do a certain thing like that grid layout. In this case though, I'm looking for sort of a quick fix. I'm just getting my blog set up. I don't want to go through too many different steps, so I don't think I'm going to worry about that just now. I'll just find a different theme. Now, if you're having trouble finding the right theme through the WordPress theme installer, the Annenberg Digital Lounge does have some recommended themes, and how we do it is we actually recommend some different theme authors. And so you can see here on our site, you can just search for this page here, and we have a few different recommended theme authors. So let's look at this one and see what he has to offer through his site. As you can see, most of these are free. There also are premium themes. So that's something to consider once you get more established with your site. But when you're first getting started, a free theme should be just fine. And usually any free theme that you find on a third-party site like this will also be available in the WordPress.org repository, which means that if you search for the theme name in the theme installer, you should be able to find it. So I'm sort of browsing through here, and I see a couple of these have a grid layout, so I'm going to try both of those. So let's start with this one. So you can see when you're on a third-party site, you're going to have some different options. So in this case, they have their own live demo here, and this might be actually a little better than what we had before. Interesting. So this is very image-centric. Oh, and it looks like this might be a gallery, so again, we might have that sort of gallery preview feature, so that's nice. Different images, it looks like it brings in a video there. And what I like about this as opposed to that other one I was looking at earlier that had kind of a similar layout is that it's a little bit bigger, there's less sort of empty space, the fonts are a little bigger, easier to read, and more focus on the actual content. The other thing, of course, is that we've got this sidebar over here, and this actually looks like I could probably set it up pretty similarly to how I have it set up in 2015 right now on my site. But one thing I do see is it has images on the recent post, so that's kind of a nice touch. Yeah, so let's go ahead and try this. Now, since we did see that this was a free theme, we should be able to find it in the WordPress.org repository just by searching for its name. So let's put that in here. Yep, and there it is. So let's go ahead and install it since we already previewed it on that other site. And then we'll live preview it with our actual content and in the customizer. Okay, this doesn't actually look as good here as it did there. Now, one of the things that you might want to note is that when you collapse the sidebar in the customizer, it will adjust the layout a little bit over here, and that obviously happened. I do really like how that gallery works. It looks like it's also sort of doing an automatic slideshow of those, which is a really nice feature. So if you did like a feature like that in a theme, it might be worth going to the extra effort of customizing it. Now, this color scheme is a little bit bland for me. Let's see if we can adjust it. There's an accent color. Let's see what that changes. Maybe, I'm guessing that might change like this link hover color, but it looks like it didn't do that right now, just at a glance. We can also put in our widgets. So of course, you're going to have a different set of widgets on every theme. And I'm not sure why these aren't showing up yet. These are the ones that I had before, of course, with the other theme. One thing that I will show you is that there is a custom menu widget. There we go. And now, since we have that social menu, we can actually put that in as a widget as well, and then our menu items will just show up like that. I didn't check though. I'm guessing this theme doesn't have a social menu. Yeah, it just has a primary menu again, so we can put our main menu in there. So that shows up there, but we can still get our social links in this way. It doesn't show up with the icons, and there are plugins that'll let you do that, but I like just sort of having it in there. Since I saw on his preview that he had those images in the recent post widget, I just want to see what that looks like. So if we add a recent posts widget, yeah, so that does look nice, but this one post, it doesn't have an image. I'd probably want to add one back for that, and that's, I think, this post actually. So overall, this is nice. I really like that feature. I like how you get the images here. For me, really, the only drawback I'm seeing is sort of the bland color scheme, and let's look at what, okay, so I do like then when you look at a single post view, you get a really nice, big, bold layout, really showcasing the images and your text, so your content is really front and center. So I do really like that, but ultimately this isn't quite the right one, so I might find it worth customizing this, but I'm going to look and maybe see if there's something else from this same theme author that might fit my needs a little bit better, seeing as I do like some of the features that he has, at least in that one theme. Just sort of browsing through these, I see that's kind of a grid layout, and this one is also, I really like the image treatment on this one though. So I have been leaning grid, but I do also really like when I have sort of the big images like you have on the single post pages. So let's actually see what this one looks like on the preview that's on his site. One thing that's really important with these themes also is to make sure that it has a mobile layout, and by default pretty much any theme now is going to support that. The easiest way to check it is to actually just resize your browser window, and if you bump this down you can actually get an idea of what it might look like on a smaller screen size, like on an iPad or other tablet or on a smartphone, and you can see in this case the theme adapts pretty nicely. That sidebar drops up into the header, and we can get our we can get the menu through there. So it's pretty nice with this theme. Just something to make sure you check whenever you pick any theme, just to make sure that you don't end up with a site that doesn't look good on every device, because really in 2015, based on where web design is now, there's no reason that your site should look bad on a phone. Okay, so this actually, I'm really liking this. These images are huge, so it's a really nice emphasis on that, but we also have sort of the post title here, and then let's see what it looks like when we go into a single view. Again, nice big image, but then wow. Okay, so this really puts the focus on the content while you're actually looking at a post, and I really like that. So I was kind of leaning grid layout after looking at a bunch of themes, but I have a feeling that this might be the one for me. So again, I'm just gonna, let's see if I can just copy this theme name. This is another free theme, so it should be available in the WordPress.org theme installer. So let's search for it there. Yep, there it is. I already previewed it, so let's go ahead and install it. And then we live preview before we actually publish it on our site. And yeah, this looks pretty good. Now, of course, this one post at the top doesn't have an image or a title, so understandably it doesn't look very good. But if I went with this theme, I could very easily just go back and add an image to that post and or a title, depending on what I wanted to do. Since I'm generally aiming more for a portfolio look, this does a very good job of showcasing that in kind of a unique way. I mean, the huge images, let's see what this gallery looks like. Oh, nice. And it looks like it also, even though this is a featured image, it also imported the caption of the image to display it on the single post view. So that's a nice little detail. You might see these edit links sometimes. Just note that those are only visible, of course, when you're logged in. I like this font, nice and big, and then I have my big image layout. I don't have a sidebar sort of distracting me. I'm really focused on the content. Okay, and then when I get to the bottom, I can see sort of the information about the different categories, tags, previous posts, things like that. Now, if it does show sort of like an about the author type of a thing here, to make sure that you have an image here, you just need to make sure you set up your profile image within WordPress. And the easiest way to do that is by adding a gravatar to your email address, and we'll talk about how to do that in a future tutorial. This looks pretty good, and just going through it, I actually don't see very much that I would want to customize. I just want to make sure I can do a couple of things before I activate it on my site. Let's get that menu put in. So again, we'll just put the main menu in the primary menu. That looks like it works pretty well. That's a nice touch for how it does search. I bet that red color might be, yes, we can change the red color. Ordinarily, I would probably go with more of a blue, but actually, I'm kind of liking the red in this case. So I think I'm going to leave it for now. It's easy enough to go back and change that later. Couple other notes, of course, like before you can change your site title and tagline here, not every theme is going to show the tagline prominently, but that will show up in some cases. So it looks like here if you hover over it for a while, you might see it as sort of a pop-up. I guess you could also maybe with this theme put in a logo. I'm guessing that'll show up in the header. Let's just try it and see. I'd probably put the picture of myself here since it's a personal site. Okay, so that of course looks like that's going to replace my name, and that's fine. I could just make an image that has my name in it, but for now I think I like the text better. Again, the static front page option, that just lets you set a static page, so like you're an about page, to be on the home page of your site. But again, I want to keep this really nice latest post view with all the images and stuff, so I'm just going to leave that with this. We can check out that page though. So yep, the about page looks pretty good. Even though I don't have a featured image for it, it still looks pretty intentional. It's got nice fonts, and any images that you put in the content look nice. This was that block quote that I put in, that of course I would want to put an actual quote there if I wanted to keep that, but I do really like how it has a nice custom look to that. I guess my only other question would be on widgets, and let's see if we can put in a couple of those widgets that I have and where those might show up. I'm guessing there's no sidebar. Okay, so they all go in the footer. So let's see what this looks like. Let's see. Looks like it just put all of my widgets that I had from before into here, but they're not active yet. So I'm going to try dropping one into each one. Usually what will happen if you have multiple widget areas like in the footer is that there'll just be multiple different columns that you can choose from. And yeah, that's what it's doing here. So I don't think I need that recent post since it's in the footer. I mean, I might want to add it later, but for now, what I want to do is I want to put in my social links menu instead, since this theme didn't have an option for a social menu. So we'll just put that in as a custom menu widget, and then let's add a title. So let's just say like connect. Perfect. And then we've got the different links here. I've got some of the different categories on my site. Also have my search form, and then I'm guessing this will show up on every page. So let's just check if we go in. Okay, and again, I'm really a fan of this layout. My YouTube video looks pretty good there embedded. And yeah, so the footer will just show up on every page with the different widgets that we put in it. I think that that looks pretty good. One thing that I'll note is if there's something like this where it says comments are closed, that's something that a lot of themes will do if you have comments off. But if comments are off on your whole site and you don't want that to show up at all, that's actually a pretty easy fix. And you can stop by the help desk and we'll show you how to do things like that. Much harder to add things on or change the layout in a more fundamental way. But I really am actually a big fan of how this is looking on my site. So I'm going to go ahead and save and activate it, but first I'm going to just show you as a reminder what my site looked like and actually still looks like right now. So I'll just open it up in a new tab here. So this is what my site looks like right now, still using the 2015 theme. We went through a whole bunch of different themes today, sort of deciding what looked right. And I've picked the one that I want. I've customized it to have the different widgets, menus, colors, different options that I want. And now I'm happy with how this looks. And of course, none of it's actually live on my site yet, so I haven't messed up anything that I already have live that people might be looking at. But now that I'm ready to push it live, all I have to do is save and activate it. That's all done. You can see now this is the active theme, and then if we go back to the front end of the site and refresh it, now the new layout is here. We've got, looks like the font's taking a minute to load, but everything here looks just how I wanted it to look and how I saw that it looked when I was previewing it with the customizer. And now it looks pretty good. Now let's just take a quick look at this post. Of course, this is the one, it's just a quick status post. I didn't put in a title or a featured image for it. Now that I'm using a different theme, I would probably want to go back in and edit it. And of course, you can just add back a title. You can add a featured image down here. And then it should be all good to go, and then it'll display nicely like the rest of the posts on here. So when you change your themes, you will potentially have to make a couple of adjustments like that. So just keep that in mind, but for the most part, if you have a good theme, your existing content should look pretty good in that theme. You shouldn't have any problems with the different content coming over. And it's really easy to change themes and browse themes, as you saw. So there's nothing wrong with changing your theme, every few months if you want to, or just sort of whenever you feel like it. You can sort of do seasonal themes on your site if you want to play with it a lot. The options are pretty open, and it's just a matter of whatever you want to do with your site, and however you want to present it. But for me, I really like how this looks, all the big images, and the general layout. And so with that, I want to thank you for watching the video. If you want any assistance or advice with working with WordPress, be it themes and customizing themes or anything else, just stop by the help desk in Wallace Annenberg Hall 301, and we'll be happy to assist you.